Hello, everybody. Hello, Josh, and thank you for joining. This is Model
Hello.
Talk. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's hot outside, so my butt is in.
I think we got a little a heat thing today where they told us it was going to be really hot, but I didn't look at my phone, so that was kind of surprising.
Oh, I do think it's a little warmer where I am compared to where you are. So
Oh, I am sweating right now. What do you mean?
turn your swamp cooler.
I could smell my armpits because that's how hot it is. Anyways.
So
So
can I.
competition.
Yeah,
So
mine smells more than yours.
oh God, ew. Anyways, we're just gonna get into it. So today, you guys, we're gonna be talking about mental health. Okay. There's
That's right.
been so many things bothering me lately, Josh, and like we've known each other for over 4 years. You know what I mean? We've literally have told each other everything, almost everything. But the big thing that I really wanted to talk about was just mental health today, because that's something that I've been struggling with. And I feel like a lot of people, they think that not a lot of people that are professionals also struggle with the same stuff. Me struggling with my struggles and going through what I have gone through is a big reason why I decided to go to school for mental health. You know what I mean? Like I just want to know what's going on with me so I can help other people that are going on, that are going through the same thing, that because they don't know what's
Yeah,
going
exactly. Exactly.
so, I'm going to tell a little bit about myself and my story growing up, because not a lot of people know a lot of stuff about me. And I'm getting a lot of people that want to interview me on their shows, and it's not about it right now. So, Josh, you know a little bit about me. So I'm going to get into that. So, anybody that's watching tonight, I just wanted to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. Um, Things are going to get a little, not traumatizing, but expect to be traumatized. I'm just kidding.
The
So
PG-13 episode.
PG-13 episode, exactly. So not a lot of people know this about me, but I'm adopted, and that is why my last name, it's from Spain. My dad is Native American and Mexican, so I'm a Weta. That's what they call me in the family. I grew up in foster care, and it was really, really tough. I got taken away from my mother and father at age 3. My mother committed suicide at age 3. She actually committed suicide the day before she was supposed to get us back. So, I was very confused growing up. I didn't know, why I wanted to go up to heaven. I was a little girl, and I was 4, 5, 6 years old wanting to go up to heaven. And I didn't know why I wanted to go up to heaven, because eventually my mind totally forgot that my mother committed suicide. And so when I was in foster care, I went into a foster home, and they abused me. I have a broken finger right here. It's crooked, where they put my door in between the door and smashed it. So, I've gone through quite a lot of traumatizing things. I remember sleeping in a pantry room, and just sleeping on the floor. Um, And then it wasn't until one day, actually one night, and I remember this, I prayed to God for like just parents, somebody to love me. And I would say about a couple weeks later, my adopted mom, she wasn't my adopted mom or adopted dad at the time that I have now. They came and they picked me up to put me into their home. And I didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? I'm just getting told, hey, this
Right.
is, I'm getting taken here and getting put over here and getting taken here, and now I'm getting put over here. So it was very confusing, but I remember going up to the home and, you know, looking at, my foster parents at the time, and having a feeling like something was going to change. I didn't know what it was, but I guess you can call that hope as a young kid. I remember walking in, the house and seeing that they had a dog, and I just couldn't help but to just fall in love with the dog. You know what I mean? I loved the whole home. It
Right.
was clean. It seemed very lovey-dovey, but being a little girl and being 4 years old at the time, I didn't know how to be loved. So I was really rough on my adopted mom. Um, I threw a lot of fits. I was lashing out. because I had all this trauma, you know, and not a lot of people know this about me, but before I was put up in foster care, I was sexually abused. So, there's just there was a lot of stuff that I did not know was going on with me, and that's why I was lashing out. And
Right.
I was
Right,
born
that's
in
what
92. Huh?
I said that's what kids do when they don't really know how to communicate verbally what it is.
Hold on, let me bring the volume down a little bit. Repeat that.
I can't even remember what I said. No, I was saying that's what a lot of kids do. That's what most children do. Can't verbally articulate what it is. They act out for that attention. Or hey, we have a special guest now on the show. Let's welcome the dog.
Oh, we got a special guest on the show. This is D'Artagnan. Let's welcome D'Artagnan on the show, everybody. He is my emotional support dog. But yeah, they lash out. You know what I mean? And even adults, we lash out. You know what I mean? And I was just lashing out. And I was born in 1992. So, my adopted mom, Linda, she had that whole, camera that you hold up. You know what I mean?
Oh, camcorder. Yeah.
Camcorder, yeah. So, I have a home video of me throwing a fit. I'm glad my dad doesn't show that you never show that to, a boyfriend of mine. So I'm talking to people on, TikTok. But, I'm lucky for that. But, after that, it was great. Life seemed great because my adopted mom wanted to adopt me. And I was finally adopted and life seemed great. And this woman, Linda, that adopted me showed me what it was like to be a mother. She showed me what it was like to clean. And this woman had I'm telling you, man, OCD. She had a business called Press for Time. And she would get so many phone calls, even up in the foothills. She helped people move. She did it all. And everything that I've gone through in my life, she told me to just put towards cleaning. If you feel frustrated, you feel upset, clean. You know what I mean? And maybe that's why I'm so OCD now on cleaning things, was because of her. But when I don't feel good or I'm upset or I'm just not feeling right, cleaning helps, which we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, she taught you how she coped with her stress.
Exactly.
That on me without actually telling you, this is how I deal with my problem.
Right. And I never knew why later on me and Linda clicked, but my mom, Linda, my adopted mom, Linda, too, her biological mother committed suicide. So, me and Linda just clicked. And it wasn't until my 5th grade graduation, she didn't show up and we didn't know where she was at. And we come to find out that my mother passed away. And that was extremely traumatizing for me because we have, those little videos that, those handheld quarters. You could hear her voice in it, but she's not there. So for the longest time, it was just hard for me growing up. That hit me and my family hard. My dad did not know how to be a dad because he lost his wife, and the stories I hear now on how my dad recovered from that is just, I'm just I envy him because I was a single parent before. I've been a single parent, and I can't imagine what it's like for him having 2 young girls to take care of. Because before that, my mom and dad, they were living separately. They were having marriage issues. So she was supposed to move back in, and she passed away the day before she was supposed to move back in too. So, me and my family went through a lot of traumatizing experiences. We ate a lot of pizza after that. A lot of pizza.
Where?
And then Papa John's.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Could have been worse.
But, I had an adopted sister growing up that's not biological, and she ran away at 18. And not a lot of people know this, but when you're 18, you can do whatever you want, even if you're adopted. You can go and go live with your biological parents. You can go seek out your biological family. And a lot of people in foster care do that. But I always knew who my biological family was, and I always, did kind of keep them in contact, but from a distance, and growing up, my biological brothers, a lot of them, were addicted to drugs, and, it got me into doing stuff. And, you know, my brothers came back into my life recently, and I don't think that it's the best decision. And, me as a recovery support specialist, I know what's not right. And there's things that we go through, even as professionals, outside of work that we deal with family. You know what I mean? It's, and this is why as recovery support specialists, we specialize in, lived experiences because we've gone through it. So it's brought a lot of triggers for me. So, depression, PTSD. The other day, I just was looking at my wall, and then I looked at my phone, and I was looking at my wall for 2 hours. Has that ever happened to you?
If it has, I don't remember, and I probably wouldn't if it did. Mm-hmm. But no, I understand. No, zoning out. That happened. I got a depression myself.
You're breaking up, man.
Really?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay. According to my screen, it looks like it's flowing freely, but okay.
Now you are.
I was saying, I understand what you're saying because I deal with it daily myself, depression. Same what it's like, don't not know where the time is. So I can understand that. But yeah, while these things are triggering, what I appreciate what you should appreciate that your line of work puts you in a unique position to impart wisdom from your to other people going through that. It allows you to actually be helpful to those were possibly like you growing up. You didn't have someone like you to help. So now you get to help those people through their. So that's a good. There's a silver lining from some case where we can help others through their problems. That's surprisingly I've found that works. Sense that the things that I went growing up that I didn't realize would cause later in life, turns out that I've been able to help and give advice to others, get support system for other people, even when I don't really know how to deal with my own. I'm always that shoulder, that pillar for people
to rely on.
Yeah, exactly. They're few, many times, happily so. But yeah, it's funny, but like,
hold on,
even though the things we go through weren't.
Hold on, you are breaking out. Yeah, Josh, your mic's going in and out. Is there any way you could log back and then log back in? Or just I don't know.
Do you have any headphones? I mean Bluetooth or anything like that?
See, and then
I could change my Bluetooth.
You wanna go ahead and do that real quick and then come in and come back in? Go out and then come back in.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we can hear you and everybody can hear you. Correct.
Okay. Yeah, let me pop back out.
Okay. D'Artagnan, what you doing?
Yeah, that was
tough.
Tough story. I had a lot of people that was messaging me just now. It's like, wow, like her story definitely needs to be told. Like that's and to be where you're at now, that's phenomenal.
Really, I appreciate that. Thank you.
To be pushing through and still going through things and having that in the back of your head. Like, I know people are supposed to say just let your past go, but like some situations, like, man, I can't let that go.
How can you when it follows you?
Some people, I guess, they say. I took a psychology class and they said some people just block it out completely. There's a part of their brain they don't remember their childhood. They don't remember nothing. but that's like a mechanism that they have that they're able to like.
It's a survivor it's a surviving mechanism, is what it's.
Right, right. Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah.
Because I remember everything, like my mom and dad fighting all the time, and
Yeah.
boy,
Yeah.
I can't bring it to myself to just black it out. Just I can't do it. I remember
Right.
everything
Right.
like it was
And
yesterday.
right, like it was yesterday. And that's PTSD right there. And this is a big reason why I even am getting help. I have help. I have a psychiatrist. I have a case manager. I have a case manager. I get help. If I didn't have, I'm gonna tell you guys something. When I first became a single mom, and this is kind of triggering. It may be a little triggering for you guys, even for you guys on here. The day my baby daddy left, and I hate saying that word, but the day my baby daddy left, it brought back everything. Like, I'm alone. How am I going to survive? I couldn't breathe. And I just got done having surgery on my tonsils. So I had painkillers in the bathroom. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror, and I didn't even recognize who I was. And I took the painkillers. And I felt so sick afterwards. And when I looked at myself in the mirror, I recognized my mother. I didn't recognize myself. I didn't see myself. I saw my biological mother. And I felt she was looking at me saying, what the f are you doing? The cycle that I put you through, that I went through, you're going to put your kids through. What is wrong with you? And that was not me. And so I got on the phone. I called my health insurance, and I got help. I seeked out help because your children need you. Your children do not need to go through what you have gone through, and you are the only person that can stop that cycle. Hi, Josh, you're back on.
I'm back. Can you hear me now?
I can, and my foot hit the laptop because I don't like to wear it when I'm comfortable right now. Okay, don't bug me. So, anyways.
So I dropped in on an interesting part of your story, obviously.
You did, but I can hear you so much better, and that's what we want, right?
Yeah. Essentially, really, all I was saying was that the things that we go through in life, you put us in that unique position to help others. In a nutshell, and so that's probably why you're good at what you do, and even though we still have our own issues to deal with, we're using what we carry as our baggage, as our burdens, to impart wisdom and help and support to others.
Right.
So, yeah, that's basically it in the short form of my long thing. So.
Well, tell me about you, like, growing up. Like, I know with you being a comedian, Josh, we have relate so much, like, off the screen with little funny voices and stuff like that. What was it that I sounded like what was it, a couple months ago? And
you were running through some of your repertoire. Like, I do this, I do that voice, and
what is her name? She played in American Pie. She was Stifler's mom.
Oh yeah, gosh, Jennifer
Coolidge.
Oh yes, Jennifer Coolidge.
I was in a Jennifer Coolidge voice. Yes.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the times when I'm having a rough time or whatnot, we always like to joke in our little character voices. But deep behind it, there's some meaning and there's something there. What are some of the things that you have dealt with in your past, and how have you dealt with those anxieties, and how have you dealt with your depression?
Well, I will say up front, I don't have as colorful a past as you did. But at the same time, And I don't mean that to sound like I was any better off than you,
Oh
but
no.
no, I was raised in a very financially struggling household. Um, my dad went through a lot of jobs. We moved around a lot because of that. Um, I'm an only child, so right from the get go, I had to, even though I had a lot of cousins that I would spend time with, not the same as having somebody there with you around. So I would just retreat into my imagination a lot of the time. And I think I talked about this a little bit the last time we talked, but I would just create worlds for myself and lose myself in that. And so I wouldn't think about, yeah, life is actually really difficult on the outside. It's tough, it's stressful. And so I think I unknowingly built those walls around myself
Right.
psychologically to just sort of, deal with it. And um, my parents, my mom had, family issues when she was growing up, dealing with her parents. And, some of those things translate from generation to generation. And I didn't find
Cycle.
out till I was, yeah, it was a cycle. But she did the best she could to break the cycle that she grew up in. While at the same time, as parents, when you have your first kid, you don't know what the heck you're doing. You don't know anything about what you're doing. No
No, I
matter
think
how much advice people give you, this is your kid, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to do it, and it's a crazy thing. But she did the best she could. I mean, I credit her for a lot of things that I'm able to do. But um, I think that some of it was overcompensating a little bit for the stresses and the traumas that she dealt with growing up. And so I didn't realize until I was older, so I was an adult basically, that I had, chemical stuff going on in my brain where I was just
thank
going
you,
on
Carol. I
a
appreciate you.
roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
Send me likes too. People send me
Yeah,
likes.
y'all send Josh likes too.
um, but I didn't realize until I was grown that I had, actual depression issues that were like mood swingy and to the point that I couldn't really control it. I would have days where I was just up, and then I would have days where just like that, my mood just changed, and I thought the world was going to end, and there was no hope for me. So,
Oh, right.
and
Right. That's how I
that,
felt today.
yeah, yeah. And so I didn't realize also until I was 21 how deep the rabbit hole went with the issues of my extended family. There was a lot of child abuse and physical abuse going on behind the scenes that I had no idea of growing up. And then I was like, what is this? Like,
Right.
what is this? This is my family? Really? And but I realize now that's why my mom was so protective of me,
Right.
because even though she wouldn't admit how bad things really were, she knew well enough to try her best to keep me out of it. And so I definitely am
That's a
grateful
good
for
mom.
that. Yeah, it's really interesting to talk about the dynamics of things. And there's a lot of things she still won't talk about to this day, and that's fine because I leave it alone. But it answers a lot of questions as to why a lot of my relatives are drug addicts, are in and out of prison, and there's just a lot of that generational trauma that's going on, and I deal with it. I don't know, it's a daily thing, but as I mentioned before, one of the things I've noticed that I'm able to do is be there for others more than I'm there for myself. And I feel like it helps me to help others. I don't know if it's just a thing that takes my mind off my problems, but I know that I'm always willing to listen to someone's, problems, listen to someone talk about what they're going through, and try to offer advice as best I can based on what I've been through. My life really didn't start until I got married at 19, and then oh my God, there was just a roller coaster of experiences and just things hitting us left and right, whether it was relationship issues or financial issues or parent issues or kid issues or whatever, and we went up and down the roller coaster with those things. And looking back on it now, I'm grateful that I have the wisdom that I gained from those experiences, even though those experiences were traumatic. Just like you, going through the things you went through as a child, as horrible as they were, you can look back and say, okay, now I can be a professional in this field and help others to go through what they're going through. And that is so commendable. And I'm so proud of you for that. And that's a lesson for anybody else who's watching or listening, who is going through something. Don't think that you're alone in what you're going through. While each individual person's situation is unique to them, there are many commonalities that allow us to be a support system for each other if we let that happen. If we let somebody in, if we find the right people we can trust, or talk to, whether it's therapy or close friends, it's not as lonely or as hopeless as some people might feel. Even though chemically there are actual chemical things in our brain that cause us to feel certain ways that are uncontrollable, it doesn't mean that's the end of it. So
right. And these, there's things from your past that causes chemical imbalances in your brain.
Exactly.
And
it's rewiring. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's where people get stuck. That's where, that's when everything's gonna explode. That's when people start drinking. That's when they start using. And trust me, I've been, you know what I mean? Cocaine was my number one thing. I hear you sniffing it. It gets me going. Not anymore. I mean, still, it's a little bit of a trigger here and there. Actually, it is kind of a trigger for me. Yeah, recently it was a trigger for me. But, I know what not to do. I have my kids. You know what I mean? But there are things that, that I have learned in my recovery and in my schooling, in my profession, of what to do when you come into that. But there's something that I'm going to share with you guys, and I'm going to share with you, Josh, that I did learn in school. And I drew something here. I had a red pen because that's all I had. I didn't have a black pen. I didn't have anything like that. But here's just a flower. So here's the thing. When you are going through a very traumatic experience, you're going through whatever, okay, you have this life, you have a heart, right? You're here, right? So are flowers, correct? When the environment grows, comes weeds. There's always going to be weeds. You can pick them off. There's always going to be rocks. Keep on going. Pick them up. Keep your, you're going to flourish. You are supposed to flourish. If you're not flourishing into a flower, and if you're not blooming, you're staying stuck. And you need people around you to water you. You need people, your support group, to take care of you. And so, if you are a recovering addict, if you're going through anything traumatizing, draw a flower. And what I want you to do is I want you to draw whatever petals you want. It doesn't matter how many petals. It doesn't need to be pretty. It doesn't need to be perfect. That's not where we're going at here, okay? But in your petals, right in the middle, I have recovery. And this is what I do in my recovery, okay? Talking to my psychiatrist, because that's important. Talking to my case manager, because that's super important. Picking up her phone calls. When I'm going through a rough time, I need to call her. There's times when I don't call her. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Listening to music, going swimming, going to the gym. Have 3 goes in there or 2. You don't have to have a lot. At least go swimming or be active. Okay, you need to release your serotonin levels. If you're sitting at home and you're drowning in your sorrow, it's going to be worse. You need to release that serotonin. That is why going to the gym and being active hold on. Being active, seeing my kids keep me going. You know, they keep me sober. You know, going to the park, modeling, putting my head into my modeling. When I have creative thoughts, I put that into my modeling. When I have great ideas or funny things that are going on or great ideas, I send them to you as a skit or as a reel, you know. And, you know, at the end of the night, watching, you know, Ghost Adventures. That's what I have on here. That's what keeps me busy. If you're at home, you're going to be stuck and you're going to want to use. You're going to be stuck with all that PTSD. So it's important, you guys, to see someone. It's important. And you know what? I'm on medication. But the thing is that when I became a single parent, I was willing to try medication to get better. And you have to put yourself into that. You have a lot of people that are going to say, oh, this medication doesn't work for me. You give it time. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Speak up to your psychiatrist. And if they don't listen, bye. Go to another one that will listen to you because you matter. You matter. So, you know, we're going to get into TED Talk here because that's enough with me. So, Angel, let's get into this video. Let's only do like 16 minutes. How long do you think?
Yeah, however long it is. I think he's saying it's about 16 minutes long.
Okay. That's fine.
So we could probably run it. Well, if you've never been to Tahoe, here's your chance.
In your life. What do you need in your life to be happy? These sound like positive, motivating questions, right? In fact, a lot of self-improvement gurus start their sessions by asking questions just like these. And don't get me wrong, if you have a specific goal in mind, these work. But if you're one of the hundreds of millions of people around the world who suffer from anxiety, then just hearing a question like this can make your stomach turn. Happy? I should be happy, but I'm not. What's wrong with me? Achieve? Oh no, I haven't achieved anything. There are so many things I should be doing right now. If you have anxiety, any question that asks what could be wrong with you will have your anxiety saying, I'm so glad you asked. Here's a list of all the things wrong with you.
At Pima's IT Center of Excellence, students have the opportunity to change their lives for the better.
Yeah,
I'm not interested.
That's why in my psychotherapy practice, I never start sessions with asking questions like these. I usually start with, how are you doing? Simple as that. And the power of this question lies within its simplicity. For whatever is on the surface, whatever is below will start coming up. And if you've run a therapy practice long enough, you start to notice patterns in how people answer these types of questions. And over the past 15 years, I've noticed a generational shift in what young people think they need in their lives in order to be happy. Young people used to come into my office and say things, you know what I need to be happy, Jesse? A Benz, a house, that new Louis Vuitton bag. Now young people come into my office and say things like, I want to have a job that makes a difference in the world. I want to have an impact on the environment. I want to be a part of ending systemic racism. This is very different than what you hear about young people in the media, right? Netflix watching, Uber eating, me kids. These are not the daydreams of lazy, attention-seeking entitled people. These are the genuine hopes of a generation that wants to make the world a better place to live in. But what happens when big dreams meet reality? Anxiety, low self-worth, panic attacks, and a crippling sense of doom. It turns out big dreams get weighted down by big expectations. External expectations like, I need to have a job that pays the bills and my student loans. Oh, and allows me to save $1 million for that deposit on the 1-bedroom apartment I want. And I need to have the perfect relationship. But if I can't have that, then I need to have the perfect uncoupling. And I need to work harder than my peers and make time for networking and cultivating hobbies. So I have the perfect work-life balance. Oh, and I can't forget to make time for self-care. And then there are the internal expectations. Like I gotta show up super confident, even when I'm breaking down inside. I have to be understanding and empathetic and accepting of others, even when jealousy bubbles beneath the surface. And I gotta be confident, manifesting, fearless, best version of myself every single day. These are all shoulds, and when added together, it can feel like they're crushing you. But what do all these shoulds have to do with happiness, you might ask? Well, here's a fun scientific fact about happiness. Our brains are not wired to be happy. Our brains are not wired to be happy. They're wired for survival, to protect us. We feel like we're these evolved beings because our technology has advanced so far and we're living in these modern times so far away from caveman times. But the reality is our brains haven't changed. We hear a noise in the restaurant and we still look behind us to see if there's a saber-toothed tiger hiding behind the coat rack. In order to maintain our social standing, we're still posting our stories on walls. And in order to find mates to increase our survival chances, we still go clubbing. That's why when we're working on our big goal to reduce climate change, and we're this close to finishing up our 20-step plan to replant the Amazonian rainforest, what our anxiety is worried about is, why is Mike not texting me back? Because 200,000 years ago, it would have been a matter of life and death if caveman Mike didn't text you back. Cave Mike, he doesn't matter much anymore. But we don't know that. We didn't get the Mike update. None of us did. Luckily for Mike. But that still begs the question, why, when we have access to all these resources, information, and even technology to tackle anxiety, why are anxiety rates rising across the world? And it's not because of Mike. It's because we can see where we want to go on an intellectual level, but we're still triggered by our survival mind. We feel anger, frustration, insecurity, jealousy, shame. And we want to jump from that to, I want to be positive, manifesting best version of myself. So we put on the meditation app and listen to the soothing podcast, but we listen to these intellectually.
All
we
right.
hear that we need to let go, and our brains process that we need to let go,
Let's turn this off.
but we don't get it emotionally. And then we feel bad that we can't make the jump. And we think, what's wrong with me? And then we go on Instagram and we're like, clearly everyone else has this figured out. I should have this figured out too. And there's that should again. And the spiral of anxiety starts once.
Some good points brought up there. Yeah,
There
I
was
can
a
relate
lot
to
of
that. And
points.
yeah, and what year was that done in?
I think that was recently.
Recently, yeah.
Recently or a couple years. No, it's not really old.
Yeah, people's anxiety, I would imagine, has definitely increased since then because there's a lot more going on in the world and that's the thing. Situational depression is also a huge thing. You know, the things that go on around you cause you to worry about, oh, am I going to be okay? And then you overanalyze and overthink, what's going on in your own life, and you could send yourself down a rabbit hole, and then you're depressed when you weren't to begin with. So anyway,
Right.
yeah.
And it's crazy because like the number one anxiety that I get is like always asking people for things or asking my dad for things, because when I was in my foster home, my foster parent, like when I was 3, she would make me stand up against the wall and squat for an hour, and I would cry. And so, the number one thing growing up is pissing people off. I didn't want to piss anybody off. So it's like right when somebody would yell at me, instant anxiety. You know what I mean? Just talking to me, instant anxiety. Women, being around women that I didn't know, instant anxiety because of what I went through with my foster parent and what I went through with being abused. So there's a lot of factors too, a lot of triggers in your everyday life that can trigger these things. And I think the TED Talks brought that up too, on all of the talking in your head and the what ifs and all that.
Yeah, there is a lot of truth to that survival, instinct aspect of it, because we just want to be okay. We want to feel safe. We want to feel secure. We want to feel like us and those who are ours under our roof, under our protection, are going to be okay. And so we do, we're always looking over our shoulder, whether it's metaphorically or literally, in today's world, especially in today's world. That's why there's a lot of communication gap and understanding gap between people who are dealing with problems today and people who dealt with problems 40 years ago. They might be the same types of problems classifiably, but they're not under the same world as they used to, they're not under the same world now, or they weren't in the same world then as they are now. That's what I meant to say. So it's different. You hear a lot of people throwing those things. Oh, it's a Gen Z problem. Oh, it's a boomer thing. Blah, blah. That's not really, that's just trying to make it socially, palatable. But no, there are distinct differences in the things that people go through. It's not just, smoke and mirrors. It's really, you're not blowing smoke up somebody's skirt. It's a real thing. So, yeah.
Right. And like it's crazy how much like we talk about cycles, because cycles are such a huge thing about life that I don't think people understand. And I learned a lot of this in school, how it doesn't matter like what you're going through in your life. Like there's going to be a cycle of some way, some kind in your family, that's going to happen. But it's up to us to know, hey, be wise to not let things occur. And some things, when things occur and you bring it up, some family members don't even know that those things happened until it happened. And be like, oh, yeah, that kind of happened. Like what you 100% was talking about,
Yeah, when you're dealing with, or when you're surrounded by mostly family members who deny that things happened or don't want to bring it up. So it must not have happened if I don't talk about it. So I'm never going to talk about it with my kids, so they never have to know about it. That doesn't know. You need to know. Things need to be talked about and discussed, and you can't just pass on your anxiety and your issues to your kids. Especially when they're around those same people. Right. Not on a daily, but they're in the same family. They're going through the same things. So these things need to be talked about. And that's, conversation is a lot of times where things need to happen and don't. So talking about it like we're doing now, that's a good step in that direction, for people to listen and say, well, maybe I need to ask some more questions. Maybe I'm not asking the right questions. Maybe I need to ask myself some questions, look within myself, and see where I need to be, what I need to do. So.
Right. Like, it's like with me and my siblings growing up, I would always ask them whenever we would have our visits, what happened to us growing up? Oh, I'll tell you when you get older. And I would ask them that each and every visit that I had. And it was eventually until I got older, when I was 18, I was like, okay, what are you going to tell me? And you're going to tell me now. I found out through my CPS records, because I found my CPS records. And I found out what happened. So, my, older siblings or whatever siblings can lie, and you try to hear their story, but once you get your story and you see it in paper, then you see, oh my God, they blacked this out. They don't, this is how they dealt with it.
Right.
When you know the truth, and then
Right.
you find the truth of what happened to you when you were younger, and your other siblings don't really know a lot because, you see how they react towards things. And a lot of them, like I said, lash out, go to jail, go to prison, get addicted onto things. But
Yeah.
you are
It's not till you yourself finds out the truth about something where you can now look back and go, oh, that's why this person and that's why they all act the way they do. That's why they've all done the things they've done with their life. And I had that epiphany too when I, was 21 and had that revelation. Oh, that's why my family is so dysfunctional. That's why each person in my family has some serious things that they're going through that they've chosen to deal with, and it's because they're trying to cover up, what happened to them growing up. So it's like,
right.
Yeah, and it's funny because the it's almost like the generation that came before us. I'm a little bit older than you, but we're around the same. But the generation that came before us was still going through that period of it's not, we don't talk about our problems with people, we don't do therapy, we don't it's not, no one needs to know our business, we don't talk, and so it's been hard for us to realize, okay, it's actually okay, to talk about our problems because it might actually help. Because even though and we couldn't even talk to our parents about our problems because they'd be like, oh, you're fine, go play outside, and they would blow it off because that's how they dealt with it. So it's we're in a time period of a learning curve too. So
Right. And like I said, we are in a time where we can change things, where we can recover, we can come back, where we can, become better. We the only person stopping you from doing what you need to do is you.
Right.
Exactly. And it's just a lot, we need to believe in ourselves. And I think that's what's tough, that a lot of us just need to remind each other that, you're enough and you can do this.
Yeah.
But that's it,
and
guys.
You're not alone.
Right. I'm not alone. You're not alone. This is what this platform
talk to somebody. Reach out. Yeah.
Right. This is
Yeah.
a place where
It's
story.
Yeah. Exactly. So we've got to wrap it up here. Any final thoughts? Oh, here comes the man.
There he is.
It's Philosophy. King Denim. Say hello, everybody.
Already. I just want to let everybody know, man, I really like this particular episode because I went through some stuff when I was younger too. But you guys remember, there's always somebody that we reach out to us. There's a hotlines. You can get help. All you got to do is pick up the phone, hit up Angel, hit me up, hit the Dean up.
The Dean line is always open.
And don't forget your Bibles, everybody. God has taught us the way, and you just got to open the book. Whatever you're seeking, it will be in the book. Go to your God, because if you go to Jesus, he's a jealous God. And if you don't go to him, he's not going to give you blessings, y'all. So take time out of your day and make sure that you praise the Lord, you read the Bible, and just don't do it because you want blessings. Do it because you love him, because he needs you in his life too.
Because God knows when you're being selfish. I will comment on that real quick, what you just said. I had the privilege to have a part on our congregation meeting last night, and it was talking about how God communicates with us. And if we don't open that book, if we don't pray, if we don't have that line of communication open, it's very difficult to navigate these problems, because even though that the Bible is a really old book, it's very relevant. It was written to last the ages. And those things in there are so applicable that can help us through, life problems every day.
Right.
Amen. Sir. Well, that's all for us. I'm gonna go ahead and let Angel close it on out.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for staying tuned. And I really hope my story helped you guys. And we will definitely be doing a lot more of these. Like I said, this podcast is not just about modeling, it's about everything, everything that I like to talk about. Okay. I want to know your story. I want to know everything, not everything, but I want to know everything. But most of all, just take the time. And if you can stop what you're doing and, take the time and put God in your life and Jesus Christ in your life, that would be amazing. I know you guys would be feeling so much better. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be on every Tuesday at 8:30. If not, then I will be making a post about it, but be expecting us to be on. And I'm also on with philosophy every Friday. So.
Amen. And make sure, we would like to hear your testimony. So just let us know, and we like to get you on. If you want to tell us about your story, we'd like to hear it. So make sure you share it to somebody that might need this. We ain't doing it just for our health, but for your health too as well.
Yep.
Right.
Drop a comment, as they say.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a wonderful evening.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah, y'all have the same. Bye, y'all.
Thank you for watching.